Thanks, Jen, and welcome. Afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many people here. So I'm Richard Petrie. I'm the CTO at LINX. Hoping my presentation is going to come up soon. And I'm going to talk through the technology. So we've got a couple of slots actually divided up, so you'll actually hear from four of us. So I'll be talking through technology, what we're going to go through today, and also what we're going to go through tomorrow. There it is. Fantastic. So I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction, reflection on the year so far, what we've achieved. So this is really to talk about what we've achieved in technology for the membership. I'm then going to go into projects. What do you expect to happen over the next 3 to 6 months? And then I'll also cover internal projects. So we often talk on stage about what we're doing with the Juniper network and the EdgeCore IP Infusion network, but we don't often talk about, well, what's happening internal, what do the technology team at LINX do, and I'd like to touch on a few of those projects to really get you, so you get a feel for how we distribute resources and how we work on priorities across the teams. And then we've got some. I wrap up with some ideas from the membership. So we've had some feedback over the last few months, and obviously on the member list when the pricing email went out. So we've got some good ideas that come back from the membership, and I just want to summarise with them. And then, as Jen said, I'll hand over to Anne, and she'll cover the operational aspects. So what will we cover? So as I say, I'll be doing external projects, internal projects, and ideas from the members. Anne's going to then come on stage, and she's going to cover our service availability, how the network's been performing, and also go into details around maintenances and our change frees. Fleming is going to be on stage tomorrow, and he's going to talk through architecture for London 1 and London 2 mainly, and go into what's going to be happening with Juniper and proof of concepts. And Mike is then going to come on stage, and he'll talk a little bit about tooling, member services, things like root servers and root collectors, and Lookingglass. Okay, so a little reflection on the year. What have we achieved? Well, we've reached success in the Juniper MX10K deployment. I think we've now gone live on 5 of the 6 devices, but the year has been really about doing the proof of concept, testing it, doing the lab work with Juniper, and then putting them into the network in the summer. And over the last few months, we've been migrating. I'm sure you've seen the maintenances. We've been doing migrations from the old 960s onto the new 10Ks. We also, at the beginning of the year, if you've forgotten, we built this new LINX platform in Jeddah, with the brand name of JetX, and that was built in the first quarter of the year and is now gone live. We also launched the IX API, so this is an external API development that we worked in partnership with DKIX and AMSIX and LINX working together, and I gave an update at the last LINX meeting on that. That was launched in September, and that was a much success. We're also racing through to hopefully our goal for the end of the year, but we've had a fantastic year on 100 gig member connections, and we expect to hit the 200 mark by the end of the year as well. And then internally, what have we focused on this year? Well, we've been really focused on the portal development, so we try to enhance the performance around that. We've reduced our capital expense, and this has really come out of an investment in EdgeCore and in Juniper's MX10K platform. And we've done good management around operational costs, so this is renegotiating contracts with our suppliers, fiber connections, and power consumption in data centers as well. And we've done some partnerships, so we've struck some good partnerships with Epsilon Interaction around the IX API work, Telehouse on redesigning the four sites that we run at Telehouse, and we've also expanded into LD6 in Equinix. We added a second site in Scotland, and we've grown significantly in Manchester as well. All of that so far this year. What's going to be happening now for the rest of the year? Well, the main projects, I've broken them down into member-facing and internal, and you'll hopefully get to appreciate why. The big project that we're working on, or certainly doing the planning, is Telehouse. So what's happening over at Telehouse? What will you, as the members, what will you see from this? We're building a new POP, so this is going to be the Telehouse North 2 facility. It's TFM 230. Telehouse are putting that together for us now, and that's going to be built through November to January. You'll see that come online. And if you've already got connectivity in Telehouse North 2 that long lines back to one of our other POPs, you'll then see the migration that happens to get you back onto a local POP in Telehouse North 2. We're also doing some consolidation. So those that are going to be present in East, we had 2 facilities in East, N9 and N10. We're merging them together, so anyone that's connected into one of them, N9 will disappear and move over onto the other one. So a whole bunch of maintenances will be going on around that. We're moving the NTP servers, so anybody that takes NTP servers, you'll also see a notification around that. And we're optimizing network services in West. So West, we started to run out of space, particularly TFM 110, and we got to the point. Obviously, we had to look at different options for how we move forward. It just so happens that obviously with the MX10K project and Telehouse North 2 and some renegotiation going on, we managed to eke out a bit more space. And through optimization and retiring some of the PTX 5000 there, we're actually going to get a lot more space and power back in that facility, and we expect that to last us a good 3 to 5 years from now on. Internally, well, what are we doing internally? We're adding a whole bunch of fibres between sites because of the full site coming online. We're not actually following the normal model that we would do, buying ad hoc ILX fibres to interconnect the switches. We're actually going to be doing a detailed project of restructuring with Telehouse in partnership, a whole bunch of fibre connections that we're going to put in and migrate all of our services off of the old system onto the new system. We are closing down a site. It's TFM 140, so this is where our IT servers go on. So this is, all of the services that we use for LINX software, the stats system, the portal, all these sort of IT type services that sit 50% in TFM 140. We're closing that site down and moving it as well as a cost optimization exercise. And as I say, optimizing the network from 110 as well as the external member-facing stuff, you'll see 10Ks come online and you'll see 960s disappear and you'll see member migrations move across of it. Also, we're going to get rid of the PTX and some of those 960s are going to be moved elsewhere so that we can continue to get the best cost out of the network. And of course, we'll retire the PTXs as well and put them on the shelves or see if we can sell them on or just get rid of them. Okay, so as well as Telehouse, what are we doing between now and the end of the year? I think Anne will touch on it, but we're doing the Equinix LD6 expansion should be completed before the end of the year. Fleming is going to talk tomorrow about this, so the MX10K, completing that project, testing IP Infusion 1.36 software on London 2, which gives us enhanced automation capability, and also EVPN. So the proof of concept is actually happening next week in Juniper Labs, and Fleming, as I say, will go through those 3 projects in more detail tomorrow. We continue to develop the IX API, so the first phase was launched in September. I think Henks from AM6 is in the room, and he did the presentation on behalf of the 3 internet exchanges at EPF in September, and that was well received. We also did a workshop with the URX on the Sunday of the URX meeting, and again that was well received. From about 20 internet exchanges attended that to hear about the IX API developments. The phase 2 stuff will also include things like private VLAN, closed user groups, point-to-point VLANs, and some cloud connectivity functionality that will be developed into the IX API as well. We're hoping by the end of the year as well, between the software team and operations, we'll launch the NOC Chat. So if you log into the portal, rather than having to send emails or open tickets, you're going to have the opportunity to have an interactive chat with the NOC. And we, as I say, we hope to launch that functionality between now and the end of the year. And hopefully that's all around improving the way that you can communicate and do business with LINX and our support staff. We also are looking to turn up a full site in Manchester, and we are planning for a new site in Wales. I put down there Cardiff, but I believe it's actually across a little way across the road in Newport. So it's expansion in Wales around that site, but that probably won't happen till next year. We're going to focus on the full site up in Manchester for the end of this year. And then some more products hopefully going to be in the development stage. I'm not going to promise that they'll be delivered this year, but certainly in the development stage. Jen's going to be on stage a little bit later under the CEO, and she's going to CEO presentation, and she's going to talk a little bit more about those products. And I've got a couple of slides at the end that also highlight what those products might be. So what about internal effort? And so you can appreciate that a lot of the work that we're doing between now and the end of the year is focused on improving the way that we deliver for the membership. Internally, I've touched on Telehouse as well as being an external-facing project. There's a whole load of cost optimization that's going on internally in there. We're also doing some work on internal systems, so CRM improvements and billing. And I think the key thing with the billing, I mean, we've had a legacy billing system, the incumbent billing system, it's still in use, that I think Howard designed probably about 15, 20 years ago. And, you know, we've been very fortunate that that's been evolved over time. But you know, it is getting to a point where we need to close that down and put in a new system. So we've been working over the last few months, putting in a new billing system that integrates into the CRM system, so that you can get all of your bills consolidated into one area. At the moment, we're very good at billing on the port fees and the port charges. But if you buy sort of additional services like resold cabling or co-location services, there's quite a lot of manual effort that goes into pulling that together. And so the billing system and some of the enhancements that are going on between the CRM and the billing system is all about making that a much more seamless and efficient capability. Malcolm Holt will be presenting, I think, on the budgeting side and billing side, and I think he will touch on what that will mean from a member experience as far as the billing interaction. But if you do have any questions on that over the next couple of days, you can speak to myself or Malcolm. But a lot of process, a lot of effort, obviously, from our internal systems and software teams working with the billing external company that runs the billing system and the integration that needs to go on with that. The other area that we're focusing on over the next few months and going into 2020 is this service inventory. At the moment, that is kind of bundled into the CRM system. It's not optimal. And as we want to go to digitize all of our services, you know, if you look at the portal developments and the IX API work that we want to do on digitization of LINX services, we've got to completely rethink the way that we do our service inventory and storage of member data, technical data. And so we've got a project internally that the teams are working on and putting a whole load of effort in to actually externalize a lot of that service inventory from the CRM. It's on wiki pages, it's in flat files, it's in, you know, the various bits of member information is dotted around various points of authority. And so we've got this project that is going to make, obviously, probably take around 3 to 6 months, but make that functionality a whole lot better. We continue to want to automate. At the moment, we don't have consistency automation, so we have partial automation on London 2. We have full automation on the Juniper network on London 1, but we don't have that consistency across all of the LINX sites that we run. So Fleming will talk about 136, but working with IP Infusion, we want to get the same level of capability on automation of IP Infusion as we have on Junos. And then as we start to retire the Extreme platform from the regional POPs and we install what we expect will probably be the EdgeCore platform into the regional POPs, we then will have the same capability of automation of member services across all of the LINX POPs that we run around the world. And that's obviously our goal. I think, you know, we obviously with 136 being tested between now and the end of the year, we certainly should be able to achieve that as we go into the second part or second quarter of next year. We want to continue to work on the portal, so we've started to see much more uptake on people visiting the portal, but we want to add tools, and this is where we still need feedback from the membership. We want to add tools. We want to be able for you to manage your own contacts, manage your own services, order new services, and experience, you know, stats and telemetry and things like that. So portal optimization will continue over the next 3 to 6 months. And again, if you've got ideas and feedback, do let us know your input. We're also moving office. I spoke at the last meeting. We're moving offices in London, so just to add as an extra distraction for us in amongst all of these other projects. We've moved, or we're moving this week, so we've nearly moved. We've got the keys, so we've actually moved into a WeWorks facility near Aldgate, so those that are familiar with London will know where I mean. It's a secure environment. As you can see, we've got our own secure part of the WeWorks building, branded with LINX, but it's looking pretty cold and empty at the moment, but this was taken last week, when we got the keys given over to, well, the passes is not actually a physical key, but we got the keys given over to us last week, and we started to move a couple of people down there last week, but everybody moves later this week, and as of the end of November, come the beginning of December, if you're going to come in and meet somebody in London in LINX, you'll be coming to our new facility, the WeWorks facility near Aldgate. So what else? The whole move to a shared work environment meant we had to re-challenge ourselves around security, firewalls. We've gone through a refresh. We've spent time on our security effort to put new VPNs in. We've adopted a new multi-factor authentication system, and we've adopted new work practices because we're not in control of the WeWorks Wi-Fi. We're not in control of the wiring closets and the devices that we can safely store there. So we've had to rethink the way that we work, and I think it's been a huge benefit for us to do that, and it's brought some new ideas around working together and innovation and collaboration. So I mean, it's been great, but it's been a huge amount of effort for the team. And just to add to that, we'll be running a business continuity exercise. So Dan, who runs our risk and business continuity, will be working with the teams to run before the end of the year a business continuity exercise to make sure we, LINX, internally, we are fit to make sure we can continue to serve the membership under an event. So that's the internal projects covered. Ideas from the membership. So these are things that you've approached us, you've spoken to us about, or you've emailed in, and there's been some discussion on the membership list. I'm not going to ask for immediate feedback, but I would say take the opportunity over the next 2 days to speak to LINX members, especially to Jen and Joe on the product side, and share your idea and your enthusiasm for these, because they will be important to how we prioritise this going forward. So bidirectional optics came up again. So this had been something that was discussed. We actually launched it, I think, about 2 years ago in Manchester, but we didn't have an awful lot of demand at the time. So that got deprioritised, and it sat really waiting for interest to peak again. It has come back up on the member list and has been discussed. So I do want to clarify, we're not planning, if we do go down the optics, we're not planning on linking a single leg into London 1 and London 2 for those London areas. We are going to keep this specific per LAN. And so if you're ordering it, the plan really is to connect multiple services into the same edge, so that if you're a 10 gig and you want to go to 20 gig, you can make that expansion. But Jen is going to go into a little bit more detail around this and how it might be productized. But that's really from a technology point of view. We're capable of doing it. We've tested it in Manchester. It's really going to be about appetite and obviously timing around that. Also, what came up, which is of interest, it hasn't been there hasn't been much demand on it, is 40 gig interfaces. So it hasn't been regularly discussed. It just so happens that a lot of our devices that we've installed, the newer devices, 100 gig and 40 gig software configurable capable. So in many sites, we do have the capability to run this today. We do need to be careful about what sites are capable and what sites aren't, where we might have to invest in certain cards or technology. But again, let's get feedback. If 40 gig works for you, does it work in all LINX sites? Does it work in certain LINX sites around, depending on the price of the cross connect? That's the sort of thing that we need to get feedback on as we go through these products. The other is RPKI, which Mike's going to cover tomorrow, so I won't go into a lot of detail around that, and also improvements in Lookingglass. So we shut down the CLI access many months ago now. We've looked at improvements. We've chosen the Alice Lookingglass as a replacement, and Mike's going to go into a bit more detail around what that looks like. And then, just to finish with, and I've run through a whole load of projects there, so hopefully you get a bit of a feel for what the team are working on. And the technology, the team themselves are slightly over 50% of the LINX staff. So it's a sizable team, but I think you can probably appreciate if you look at member projects, whether we're building out capacity, service issues that Anne is going to speak about, internal projects where we're trying to digitize services so that we can get rid of legacy systems like the CRM and the old billing system, and where we're trying to make sure that we get rid of some of that technical debt that slows us all down when we're trying to work on projects. We are dedicated to working on those two things, as well as then obviously trying to work on member services. So these are ideas that come internally from the product team, and also also what I've just covered that come from external membership feedback. So we're trying to balance between the teams on this, and I don't think we've quite got it right yet as far as how we qualify member interests and make sure that we prioritise across this. And it might be, as we said before, the webinars, or we might have, discussions around certain ideas from members. But again, if you've got ideas and you've got things that you want to raise, or even mechanisms that we can capture better quality input into this, please do come and speak to me and share your thoughts on that. But just to give you a feel for, hopefully, you're going to hear from Anne and Mike and Fleming over the next 2 days, but you'll get a feel for what we're working on, where we're prioritising. What aspects are we doing for the membership directly that you see, and what aspects we're working on in the background that maybe you don't see, but obviously are taking up a lot of the time from the teams that are working on that. And with that, thank you for your time. I will take questions if there's any questions. And there is a question. Can we get a microphone to James?
Hiya. For your bidirectional optics, lack of demand, I've noted on the LINX website there seems to be an additional £200 charge for using bidirectional optics. If I look at the price of bidirectional optics compared to regular LR optics on Fiberstore, there's a £10 difference. If I look on Flex Optics, there's a less than £25 difference. Why is LINX charging £200 extra, and don't you think maybe that might be a reason for lack of demand?
I'll probably have to pass that to our to wherever Jen is on the commercial side. James, I don't know at the moment. As far from a technology point of view, say we've proved it out. I mean, we can take that charging mechanism and what we can best get out of that. I mean, I don't know whether what you're referring to refers to the Manchester from 2 years ago when we originally priced it, or whether that's some other information. But I'm happy to take that offline and have a chat with you. And if we can get a better price that seems fairer based on buy price of products, of course we'll pass it on to the membership. So thank you. Anything else? Oh, James again.
Hiya. You mentioned 40 gig. Why not 25 gig? Being single lane rather than quad lane, but slow.
Yeah, as I say, the 40 gig was a bit of a surprise. I mean, we haven't had 25 or 40. We haven't had a huge amount of demand for it until it came up recently. So it's something I'm flagging we're going to look at. If we can add the 25 into it, and there's member interest, and of course we will do that as well.
There's also a very big cost impact on 40 versus 25. The possibility for 40 is basically we have QSFP ports, QSFP 28, so it's just running a 100 gig port at 40 gigs. If that helps a member, 25 is a much bigger investment. It doesn't mean we won't do it, but there's a big technological difference between putting a 40 gig optic in a port that we already have that's already capable versus investing in new switches, new line cards. It's a big step up in investment. Doesn't mean we won't do it, but that's why 40, not 25.
When are we doing 400 gig? I'd quite like that. When can we have it? Like next week?
I wouldn't say
near. 10 quid more than a. I'd really like 400 gig. I'd really like it yesterday. I got ports waiting. When can I plug in, please?
So obviously on 400 gig, it isn't there at the moment, and as I say, with all the vendors that we're working with, EdgeCore and Juniper, hopefully we can give a better timeline on that, probably from February onwards. But as I always say when I come and present, if there is a member that is testing 400 gig and they want to come and work with us. And do joint testing, the sooner that we get visibility of that, the better, because we can then work with our vendors as well. Oh, yes, so Fleming is also going to touch on 400 gig tomorrow as well, for those that are staying for tomorrow. So, okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for the questions, and over to Anne.